everyone, this is Sarah from HappyHands-uk. I have been having a nightmare with alcohol inks. It's me. It's definitely me. I honestly don't know when to stop applying alcohol. So this is about the millionth take. And I'm not exaggerating. Yeah, I am exaggerating. But there's been a fair few, believe me. Hence why my hands are in a mess. Stupidly didn't wear gloves, and I think now it makes no difference, they're that bad. Anyway, so let's crack on and see if I can get this done. Right, so I'm going to begin. I'm using, this by the way is a mother of pearl, and it's on the thickest setting, so on mine it's 0. I'm using Pinata pink. I want to make a nice sparkly pink. Okay, so I'm using this extender, just so I get a little bit more time out of it. And as a base on the clay, this is actually scrap clay. It's got a few bits of grimy bits in it, so happily cover it with alcohol ink. So I'm just going to spray this with a little bit of alcohol to start with, just so it gives it a bit of a spread. And I'm going to dot this extender on first. And then, fingers crossed, start blobbing the pink on. Now, I don't want too much of a pattern as such in there. I want a little bit, but I'm going to be cutting this into little pieces and putting those pieces together as one piece of jewellery. So I want them to match. So I don't want odd bits of colour popping up that are not in the others, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to give that another spray just to help it spread out, hopefully. And then I have this pearl colour, which I'm going to pop on. And this is the sparkle. It's not spreading very well. I think at the moment, this is also a diamond sparkle, another sparkle. To make sure that the sparkles are actually not back at the bottom. And I'm going to give that a mix together like this, so that it covers the whole surface of the clay. So we've got a nice pink background. And I'm going to let that dry off, but not completely. And what I'm looking for is when it's almost dry, but there's still a bit of movement in it, I want to add a few more drops. And it kind of works like when you drop water onto a watercolour and it blots away the colour. It kind of works like that. I did it once and I'm trying to recreate it, so that's what I'm trying to do. So I'll let this just kind of evaporate off a little bit. I'll give it a waft with some paper and I'll come back. Okay, so this isn't completely dry, but it's as dry as I want it to be. And I'm going to blob in some magenta, which is more of a reddy colour, reddy purple colour, for the next layer. And you see how it's blotting out? If that was too wet, that wouldn't happen. So I'm just going to watch and see what it does. Probably have a drop there. A drop there. And then I'm going to go back in with this pearl over the magenta. And as you see, that's starting to spread out. Let's see. Let's get you in a little bit. Look like craters, don't they? So now what I want to try is put some of this extender and let that do the same thing. And that was probably too soon. So we'll just leave that for a second. So now I'm going back to this diamond one because I want sparkle. You see how beautiful that sparkle is in there, proper whoosh, fireworks. Only thing is the bits of dust get stuck in the nozzle. Just kind of tap it out. Going back with the magenta. And then back with the pink, just a little bit over the pearl. Now this will dry a lot lighter. Than what it is now. Isn't it beautiful? So I just need to get that pearl back a little tiny bit. And the pearl will fall down to the bottom. And that's it. Gonna leave it this time. Gonna leave it. So let it do its business. I'll probably leave it overnight. Don't play. Stop playing. I'm gonna leave it overnight. Oops, wrong way. Let it dry, and then I'll come back. Okay, so that dried beautifully, and I was filming doing the next bit, and my phone came up with a critical error and lost the footage of where I was up to. So because I've had such a nightmare trying to get this right, I'm not going to refilm, but I'm going to explain exactly what I've done. So the piece that I had, all I did was I popped it through the pasta machine, setting by setting, and I got down to I think it was a 4, to get this crackle effect over the pink pattern. As you can see, it did dry considerably lighter, but I have that lovely sheen, which is what I wanted, this pink sheen. And the crackle, which I'm gutted that I'm sorry, it's gone. But these things happen. And then what I've done is, I'm just going to cut this off now. I've just got some scrap pink clay, and I've placed this on a 0 setting. I'm going to cut this bit off. I'll probably use that at the end, but for the sake of the video, I'll show you what I did. So after making it thinner to get the crackle, placed it on the backing. I think I'll go that way up actually. Mind you, that's just as bad. I've got a little hole there. I'll have to try and avoid it maybe. Okay, so patted that down. so that it sticks. And then I have began cutting out several of these teardrop shapes. Okay. And now I don't know where to put my cutter. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Okay, so yeah, so just cutting out then a row, and I've found this is still quite sticky, and what I said in the video before it disappeared is that it doesn't totally dry, and I think it's due to the shimmery parts, the pearlescent bits, the pearl and the sparkle, the diamond stuff. It doesn't, it's sticky. No matter how long it sits, it stays sticky. But we can deal with that. Some of it does go when it bakes, but it still has this kind of residue. So we will oh my word, can't think of the word, resin. I'll put resin over it, and that will then cover the sticky bits up. So I'll fast forward this bit, and hopefully I won't lose you again. I'll see you at the other end. Right, okay, so I've cut out a nice row of this. There's still a bit left, so I'll do a little bit more. I've conditioned the scrap that was underneath that one, and I will continue to do that. And I'm going to do one of the larger ones for a pendant, and another medium-sized one for, well, two of them for earrings. So I'll do that, get it baked, and then get to the next step. Okay, so I've got them out of the oven now. They're nice and cooked. I have got two variations. This is more of a purple one, and it's got a better crackle on it. And this is the pink one that I did. This one here, it had a little bit missing. I just kind of patched it up. So I don't know how that's going to turn out. So now I need to resin them. So I've not unstuck them from the tile because they're so small and fiddly, it's much easier to leave them on. So I'll film a little bit of it to show you what I do. You have seen it before, but if there's any newcomers, you can just have a quick look. But this is the resin that I use, and I get it from Amazon. And I'm just rolling the bottle just to mix up the components, because I find that if you don't do this, then components stay to the bottom, some of them, and then it doesn't cure properly. So I do this every time I use it, just to make sure that all the components are evenly spread throughout what's left in the bowl. So I'll just zoom you in a little bit, and I'll start on this corner. So I don't want an awful lot. I want these chunky because I'm going to put holes through them. So I'll just do a few at a time. And all I do is I get a little pokey tool, which I should have got out really, shouldn't I? But anything will do, with a little point on the end. And it's just a matter of dragging it to the edges, just to give it a nice even covering, and make sure that it comes right to the edge by just dragging it a little bit, and it'll pull back because of the surface tension. And if there's any crumbs on the edges once I take it off, then I'll just file those away. But this, leaving it stuck to the tile, just makes it so much easier because it doesn't shift when you're dragging the resin away. And then I'll just get my lighter and just pop any bubbles that might be there. And that will go in the light then for, I think mine's 120 seconds. So I'll continue doing this and then I'll come back when they're all done. Also, I forgot to say, keeping them stuck to the tile also prevents them from curling when the resin is curing. So I've done this top layer, I'm going to put that in. Like I say, I'll come back when they're all done. So I just wanted to quickly show you the difference between the resined and the unresined. And the resin also, I mean, this isn't as sticky as I thought it was going to be. It's not sticky at all, to be honest, but I'm worried that I'll lose the top layer on that from wear and tear. And this also gives it a beautiful shine, and there's no stickiness whatsoever. It's perfect. So I shall carry on again. Right, so that's them all resined, looking really nice and pretty. So the next thing to do is I'm just marking out where I'm going to put the hole through each of them, and I'm alternating which way the bulbous end of the teardrop goes, and I'm flipping it over and I'm just lining it up, and I've just got this really spiky tool, pokey tool. It's quite sharp, it's like a pin, and I'm just giving it a little scratch along the back, just so that I've got a rough idea. I mean, you don't have to be perfect with it, but just a rough idea how I want them to line up once they've been drilled and threaded. So I'm wearing a glove on this hand because I've noticed that the more I handle this with my sweaty fingers, the duller this becomes, and I don't want to spoil it. So then I'm taking my hand drill, it's a fairly thin bit on the end of it, and I'm just going to use that guide, and I'm going to get to the centre of this, and it's quite easy because the centre is where the colour changes, because that's the backing. I'm just going to make a little pilot hole just to start it off, and then I'm just making sure that when I'm drilling in, I'm not going up or down, and I'm not going left or right. So I'm keeping as straight as I can going through the centre. And you can just take your time. So I'm keeping that parallel, and I've not come up or down with the drill. And then just gently pass it through to the other side. And then you can clean out your hole. Just make sure that it's passable and there's no debris in there. And do the same again on the top one. Comes through. And just clean out the hole until you have this. So I'm going to crack on and do the rest of them. I'm not going to put you through the boring process of watching me do that. I mean, it is not perfect. It doesn't matter. It's fine. As long as it's not come out where it shouldn't come out, that's fine. It's not come out the back here, and it's not come out the front. So that's fine. So I'll meet you back shortly. Okay, so we're back. Now then. So I have these all resined and all lined up ready. I've measured my wrist, and it sits... I've measured so that it will sit comfortably on my wrist, so it's not stretched on my wrist, even though I'm using an elasticated cord. I don't want it to be tight on my wrist, but I want to be able to push it over my hand to get it on there. So I measured it, and I measure at 7.5 centimetres. And what you want to make sure is that at each end they are opposite, so that when it comes around and they meet, it continues the pattern. So at one end it's got to be the bulbous at the bottom, and then the other end the bulbous at the top. So that's about 7.5 centimetres. Just a quick tip as well that I figured out while I was doing it. You know, I'll scratch the back of it to get to line them up. Hang on. It's that one. Yeah. So what I did, rather than do that, I just put two together and used that as a guide, and then made a pilot hole, and then used the drill to continue. Right, so now I've taken a good length of elasticated cord and I'm doubling it up. So fold it in half, and then that'll stop your beads falling off, so it'll catch them. Still a bit curly. 'Tis fiddly because it's thread, isn't it? So we'll start off, doesn't matter which way you start off, it's just as long as you've got them all opposite throughout. So threading those through and pull it through to the end, and then making sure that your next one is the right way up and that you've got the right cord going in the top one and the bottom one. So that gap's quite big. I don't know what I did there. We'll have to just see how it looks. I would suggest that I've got 24 beads, but I would suggest that you make a couple extra in case you do accidentally mess up with the holes. It's best to have spurs. So then that will sit like that all the way along. And I'll go on and do that. I'm sure you don't want to watch me thread a whole bracelet, and I'll come back when I've got them all threaded. So I've got everything all threaded up nicely, and what I have done is I've added two more, because with my practice one I just found it to be slightly tighter than I thought it would be. So I've added two more just to give it a little bit more give, so it's a little bit more comfortable when it's sat on the wrist. So we have these in here. This is the end that's been catching all the beads. So I'm now going to give this a chop. And all it is now is just a matter of tying off the ends. So make sure you get the right part, so the top bit and the top bit. And what I do is I just do a normal knot to start with. And these always get in my way, the bottom ones. Do a normal knot to start with and pull it fairly tight, being careful not to snap it. I did. I'm quite heavy-handed. And then the next knot, whoops, sorry. Am I zoomed in still? No. And the next knot, I'm going over and under twice, just to give it a little bit of extra strength. And then pull. And then I'm going to give those a little chop. Make sure you give it a good tight pull. They just wriggle everywhere like little worms. And then give it a chop. And then what I have done is on the last one that I put in, which is this one, I've made the hole substantially bigger because I want to pull that knot into it. There we go. See how it's slotted in? So that the knot can't be seen and it's a bit more protected and hopefully less likely to snap. I'll just pull that out of there. You rethread that through there. Bear with, bear with, bear with. There we go. And the same again, so I just do an ordinary over under knot for the first one, just to get it in place so there's not as much fiddling. Give it a good pull, and then an over under twice. 1 and 2, and give that a good pull, and then again, oh, I need to cut it first. Oh, give it a trim, and then we find the fatter hole and just pull that elastic through. That one's come back. So that you can't actually see where the knot is. And there you have it. That does feel better. Even though it's a little looser on the wrist, it's better than it being too tight. So here's the other one that I did, the purple lot, with the more crackle in. So I'm going to add probably a couple onto that. And what I did think as well, I wish in hindsight that it's also double-sided, isn't it? So if I'd have done a nice pattern on the back, you can wear it another way. And that actually feels nicer on the skin because of the smoothness of the resin as well. So maybe bear that in mind when you're making yours. Either resin the back so it's nice and smooth on the skin, or make it double-sided so it can be any outfit. A nice choice of outfits. So there we go, we're all done. Like I say, I did cut out some other pieces. So this is just going to be a pendant and a pair of earrings, and you've seen me do it a million times. Just put a hole in it and add some pinch bails and thread it onto a necklace. And the same with the earrings, just put your earring hooks on. And I've got a couple of hearts as well, just from the leftover bits, so I may do something with those. But that's it. I do hope you enjoyed that. So I've got 2 lovely bracelets. Let me know which is your favourite. And it's good to see you. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time. Take care, everyone. Bye.